So I'm here with world-renowned knife maker Greg Lightfoot. Greg, it's a pleasure to meet you. Thank you so much for giving us some time and letting us take a look at your shop.
Right on, thanks for coming out.
So if any of our viewers aren't familiar, what is it that you do here?
What I do mostly is manufacture high-end pocket knives. I do some hunting knife stuff, but the thing that's got me famous in this industry is making fancy pocket knives using materials like mammoth tusk and walrus ivory and things like that that you would only normally see on antique type things. So I'm able to get those materials and turn these knives into kind of like heirloom pieces or works of art, that kind of thing.
So is it ever intimidating working with like rare and expensive materials like that?
Well, when you only have one chunk, you don't want to screw it up. So it puts a little bit more onus on it, you thinking, but I can almost do it in my sleep now. And believe it or not, in this world of knife making, I'm known as one of the guys that uses those materials. If you were just to use carbon fiber or a man-made phenolic like micarta as an example, it's dead easy to work. It doesn't warp or heat doesn't affect it, where the ivories and so on, they take a lot more care and attention. So it takes me a lot longer and it costs the end user a little more money because initially the materials are hugely expensive just to buy, but mammoth ivory is legal. Okay, it's from 10,000 years ago. It's not an elephant, so yeah. it's legal to use. So just want to get that point across.
No, yeah, that makes complete sense, and it's understandable. So you're not just paying for the expensive price of unique and interesting materials. You're also paying for the years of experience and craftsmanship that lets you work materials like that and in the traditional way of doing it. I'd love if you could help maybe some of our audience who aren't as familiar with the process, since we're here and we can actually see how it's done. If you could show us around the shop a little bit and explain what some of these different machines do.
Basically, the key area in this shop are the grinders right here. So basically with this setup, you work from machine to machine. Like a lot of guys will have one grinder and they change it out for every operation. It takes too long. So I just have it set up in a big line so that you just work from, you go bang, 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 and at the end of the line, you've got your product done. I wanted to show you, this is the blade material. So and then it ends up with this being the product in the end, starting out from these parts. So back in the day when people were making knives, it was like a ground down file with a popsicle stick handle duct tape to it and stuff. Well, it's so far advanced when you're doing these pocket knives that you end up with, start off with pretty remedial looking stuff and you end up with a lot nicer piece of material in the end.
I've heard that you've had perhaps some celebrity clients over the years. Well, would you mind sharing?
Okay, I wanted to say that the celebrity clients are anybody who buys stuff, okay? Like there's guys who buy, like I shipped to a castle in Qatar, okay? I looked up the address, it's a castle, which was kind of unique, but yeah. You know, and then there's guys that from the States, different people, there's even people locally that buy, and of course, there's guys like Axl Rose. He bought a bunch of knives off me. That would be somebody who everybody would know, but that isn't as big of a deal as you might think. It's like, everybody who decides they need a handmade knife, to me, is an important celebrity clientele because you can buy a cheesy, cheap knife anywhere. So who needs a handmade knife? And that's cool that they do. And they come to me and I'll make it for them.
Well, if you want a fancy knife, where can they find you?
Okay, the best place is to go on Instagram, Greg Lightfoot 123. And then once you get on Instagram, you can see everything. The website, lightfootknives.com, shows pictures, but it keeps deleting them. So Instagram, Greg Lightfoot 123, has all current stuff. You can direct message me there, phone numbers there, whatever, and we can chat and come up with something, materials and a model that they would like.
Well, that doesn't sound like an overly intimidating process, and I'm sure that you're an easy guy to work with. You've been easy to work with for me today. I really thank you so much for giving us all this time and inviting us into your beautiful shop.
Excellent, no problem. Thanks very much for coming out. Right on.